Alright, this is my audience, my mom, my dad, and my brother. Drones. Whether you like it or not, these things are becoming more and more prevalent in our society. Have you ever seen one flying around or been impacted by its use? Believe it or not, chances are that you have been. Whether it was watching TV, looking at photography, or even the food you've eaten, a drone was likely involved. Now, because I've helped build these and am interested in their impact in society, I know the importance they have in our everyday life. Today, I'm going to share with you their uses, what sort of regulations surround them, and where they're heading in the future. Now, drones are used by two major groups, civilians and government and other organizations. On the civilian side, they fall into private individuals and businesses and nonprofit organizations. Now, private individuals usually use them for things like photography, racing, recreational flying, and many other things. However, to businesses and organizations, they're becoming much more important. According to Clay Dillow in a 2014 article on Fortune.com titled "Get Ready for Drone Nation," he says, quote, "Drones are no longer an experimental extravagance to many enterprises. Increasingly, they are being viewed as an operational necessity." Now, businesses and nonprofit organizations use them for things like search and rescue, research, agriculture, TV, and even weather forecasting. Now, to better represent the civilian drone market, I did a quick research study on Kickstarter.com, which is a website that provides funding for small startups using the keyword drone for the search, and I took the first 25 results and characterized them into different categories. Now, based on this chart, you can see that about 50% of them fell into photography, about 16% were recreational purposes, and then roughly 10% each fell into research, agriculture, production industry, and about 4% were used for search and rescue. Now, on the other side, drones, or UAVs, which stands for Unmanned Aerial Vehicles, are also used by military and police agencies. Now, the United States military uses drones for surveillance and airstrikes using drones like this. These images were from Wikipedia's page on drones, and they use two drones called the Raptor and the Predator. Now, police also use drones for things like surveillance. However, they are not weaponized like these ones for airstrikes. Now, a drone is much more efficient to use than a police helicopter because it can be easily deployed from the back of a squad car or a backpack rather than having to get a helicopter ready with a crew and in the air. Now, because drones can be used for surveillance, this creates the discussion of privacy, which leads to the discussion of regulation. Now, believe it or not, there are actually very few regulations on how the government uses drones, and unfortunately, it usually comes down to a court case after the fact as to whether or not the drone was used constitutionally. For the civilian side, the FAA on their website in a 2016 article titled "Model Aircraft Regulation" lays out 3 things that civilian operators must follow. That 1, the aircraft must maintain a height of lower than 400 feet, the operator must maintain a line of sight with the aircraft, and that it must be flown in a relatively safe manner, which means away from large crowds, buildings, or other things that may cause damage to. Now, discussions need to happen on how to better regulate this new technology in order to make it safe for everyone to use, but these discussions can also be used on where drones are going. The biggest thing is autonomy, which means flying by themselves without the simultaneous impact of a human user. This is done by onboard computers and pre-programmed flight patterns. According to Vijay Kumar in his 2012 TED Talk speech on YouTube titled "Robots That Fly and Cooperate," he talks about how these drones are being used to 3D map new spaces or buildings based on sonar technology all on their own, and he also talks about how they're being programmed to work together to simultaneously lift heavier objects than one drone could lift by themselves. Now, when most people think about drones in the future, they think about delivery. Companies like Amazon and other food companies want to use drones or UAVs to deliver food right to your doorstep. Unfortunately, this is probably still a few years out, as drones are unaware of their surroundings and base their flight patterns solely on pre-programmed flight patterns and GPS coordinates. Now, because of this stuff, drones are moving from being techie gadgets to useful laborers. drones are slowly making their way into our everyday lives. Today I talked about their uses, what sort of regulations surround them, and the future of where they're heading. And who knows, the next time you order a pizza, it might just be delivered by a drone.